Finding a good property in Greater Toronto Area with the current shortage in housing means buyers will be facing competitive bidding situations. If you want to stand out as a buyer, then you're in the right place. We'll be sharing strategies, answering your burning questions, and giving you insider tips to help you navigate the multiple offer situations like a pro. Whether you're a seasoned home buyer or getting into real estate for the first time, I've got you covered. Let's get started. Hello everyone, this is Nakvi from Rowlett Page Vision Realty. Welcome to T.Real Estate. Today we'll be going over multiple offer situations, how you can stand out from the crowd. So what are multiple offers? Multiple offer is a situation where there is one property and multiple buyers striving to put an offer and stand out from the rest. So the seller picks their offer. That's multiple offer. There are many factors in an offer, but the most important are four, which is the offer price, the closing date, the deposit, and then the conditions. The conditions could be financing, inspection, status certificate in the case of a condo building. So these four things are really important, and those are the four things that are basically play the role in picking up one offer among multiple offers. So how do you stand out? So let's go through the points. The first one would be price. The price is the most important factor in an offer. Pretty much all the offers boil down to the first thing, which is the price. So being competitive is very important. And then in over the years, I've been licensed as almost 20 years, and then I've seen a lot of multiple offers where buyers and sellers leave a lot of money on the table. So it's so you as a buyer, if you have to be knowledgeable, find out, ask your realtor to do the due diligence, find out what the property is really worth. Before you get on the table putting your offer, you should know what that property is really worth in the last 30 to 60 days, not way back, but now in the past 30 to 60 days, what that value is worth is what you should have in mind, based on the whole criteria of your search process. And if you have any special needs, like a particular school or any particular feature in a property, like a library, ticks all the check boxes. So you have to make sure that you're mentally prepared to go up to a certain level. It's because in most cases, people get carried away and then they get burnt after. So this whole exercise is to help you, not to get burnt, but help you excel and then make sure that your offer is accepted. You don't have to have the highest price. There are other things that I'll be going through that if you do those, the seller may pick your offer instead of the other, higher price offer. So the first thing is make sure the price is very competitive. Don't go for lowball the offer, because especially for multiple offers, then try to be competitive. Seller would be picking the best offer. And before you get into the multiple offers, the ceiling price, your ceiling price is very important. Finding the right, as I mentioned, the fair value of the property, and then having a ceiling price. Say this is how much maximum you would go. That's before you get into that situation. So that way, when you are in the situation, you don't get carried away. Second is a pre-approval letter. A pre-approval letter demonstrates your financial credibility. Shows you are able to secure the mortgage. You can get this done before you start. In fact, this should be the first step when you get into the home buying process. You should get the financing done. So that way, your bank or mortgage broker that you're dealing with will give you a letter that states how much based on the documents that you've provided, that they will give you certain number of that certain amount as a mortgage. So that gives you a pre-approval letter, gives you competitive edge. Not everybody has a pre-approval letter, or not everybody provides that. They may waive their financing condition, but providing a pre-approval letter, this gives the seller confidence in you as a buyer. Also, it's very important for you to understand the difference between a pre-approval and a commitment. Pre-approval is based on what documents you have provided. There's a limited number of search that which the bank does. Commitment is that the bank is committing to give a certain amount of mortgage based on your qualifications. So pre-approval not necessarily means that you have the mortgage in hand. Next would be closing date. Having a flexible closing date really helps you step up a notch on the multiple offer ladder. So the first thing is it's a great leverage tool. It's more like accommodating the seller's need. Seller has to move, in 30 days, 90 days, whatever the situation may be of the seller. And if you are comfortable with that, if your financing is okay with that particular, with the closing which the seller prefers, then you should be good to go. Before you get into flexible closing date, make sure you consult with your mortgage broker or the bank that particular closing date, bank is okay with you closing on that particular date, because you don't want to get tied up in a situation where you're not unable to get the mortgage and then you have this situation. So a flexible closing date is a very good leveraging tool. Next would be a reasonable deposit. Reasonable deposit held so a deposit is held, just for your information, a deposit is held in the other brokerage, which is the seller's brokerage's trust account. And if the buyer is unable to close, then the seller may be entitled to retain that money. So what the deposit gives is a peace of mind to the seller. If it's a substantial amount, let's say if you're giving a 5% deposit, then that gives the seller peace of mind that you have given enough money down, that you have some stake in that offer. It demonstrates your financial stability. A good deposit demonstrates your financial stability to the seller. Let's say a good deposit of 5-7% of the listing price demonstrates to the seller that you are financially stable. A personalized letter is emotional connection between a buyer and a seller. It creates a human touch to this whole process. These days, when everything is electronic, when the buyers don't meet the sellers or don't see the sellers during the offer, then this gives a human touch to the offer, that there is another human being, a human family on the other side of the trade. It humanizes transactions and allows the sellers to see the buyers as individuals with personal stories and aspirations. So the personal letter would be highlighting some areas of the home and why it would be ideal for the buyers. So expressing gratitude leaves a positive impression on the seller. Keep the letter short, respectful, and professional, and then avoid unnecessary personal details. A personalized letter can make a difference and fosters a connection between a buyer and a seller. Waiving conditions. This is a very contentious topic. This is one of the very important factors of an offer. And then buyers have to be extremely careful of what conditions they waive, and then they have to make sure that if they are waiving any conditions, that they're able to fulfill those or address those conditions. So common conditions are inspection, financing, status certificate, appraisal, or the sale of a buyer's home when the market is slower. So there are risks involved, and you as a buyer should be aware. Thinking beyond FOMO, which is fear of missing out. Don't get into the situation where you think like the market is going to go crazy, because it may not be what you have in mind. Because don't go over the media headlines and then the scary headlines in the news that pushes you to buy a home, which is really not worth going forward, or you pay way over what it would be worth in the future. So like it happened in early 2023 and then the years before that, where buyers get really nervous and then throw in more money than what the property is really worth. So you don't want to get into that situation. Understand that there is a legal commitment when you remove the conditions, that even though you remove the conditions, you will be liable if there's any situation. Like you're removing the financing conditions. So like the financial impact. So let's say if you're removing the financing conditions, you should be aware that you are liable to close even if the loan doesn't go through. Inspection. Purchasing as is a very risky game. You have to make sure that you are aware if there are any serious issue like a foundation or anything that has to do with something which is hidden in the roof, in the attic, any mold issue, without the option to negotiate the repairs. So you can work around this where you can get the inspection done before you put the offer. So that way it gives you peace of mind, because you're getting a big ticket item, you're spending a lot of money. So before you waive any condition, just to make sure you consult with your realtor or lawyer, inspection, a home inspector, or your financial advisor before you waive any conditions. Partial waiving is also one thing. You can gauge the situation, that you keep certain conditions which are very important to you or your situation, that you don't have to remove the conditions. This is no end of the world that there will be other properties. You should never take the risk where you are taking all the risk and that eventually you will have to face that situation. Partial waiving is also an option. This is not end of the world. You can put an offer on this property with conditions that are suitable for you, on removing conditions that you're comfortable with. Do not put an offer removing conditions where you're not comfortable. Next is cash offer. Cash offer, that's a no-brainer. You will have the financial leverage, and then that gives the seller peace of mind that there is no financial issues involved here. Escalation clause is another thing. Escalation clause is something where you have a condition in the offer that you automatically increase your offer price if you're competing against higher bidder. But you have to have a ceiling of the maximum amount that you will be willing to go for. So getting professional help is extremely important. This is one of your life's biggest purchases. So you have to find out somebody who is knowledgeable, who understands the market, who can guide you with where the market was, where the market is heading, and then guide you in terms of the value of the property, the condition of the property, and then your financial stability going forward as well. The property valuation aspect is so important because that's where a lot of people miss the boat in the sense of finding the valuation of the property, what it's worth or what it was worth in the last 30 to 60 days, which will give you a clear picture of what that particular, how much you can, because bidding doesn't mean it's a lottery. You have to eventually, you will be facing the mortgage, you will have to face, payments monthly, weekly, whatever, you have set up. So make sure you have the right representation who can guide you and advise you towards taking the right steps. Getting a professional help significantly enhances your overall experience of going through a multiple offer situations. Hands down, this is an extremely important step of the whole process. I hope you found these strategies and insights helpful in your real estate journey. If you have any other questions or if you'd like us to cover any other topic in our future videos, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more real estate content and click on the notification button so you don't miss out on our latest real estate content. This is Nakvi signing out from T.Real Estate. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.